Excellent. One of the big developments in recent years is the number of allies that have supported the LGBT community. I mean, I just kind of went through the top of my head and started listing Sean Avery, Brendan Aisha-Badeo, Scott Fujita, Michael Strahan, all filmed marriage equality videos. Jared Dudley and Grant Hill did the Don't Say Gay ad. Kevin Johnson, who used to play for the Suns, he's now the mayor of Sacramento, joined the Mayors for Freedom to Marry. There's this new group, Gay for Soccer. They basically reach out to soccer players and others in the media and say, would you be an ally, yes or no? And they've had over 100 people that said yes. Drew Brees worked with Ellen on an anti-bullying thing. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. Paul Tagliabue, former commissioner of the NFL, donated $1 million to Georgetown University to establish the Tagliabue initiative for LGBT life. So there's all these incidents. Over 30 players from the NHL are with You Can Play. So I guess the question is, how important is kind of the ally culture to standing up for LGBT athletes that often are too scared to talk about it themselves, to stand up for their own rights? So how important are they in kind of also just the larger fight for equality, because a lot of them are doing marriage equality videos. How important are these allies for the social issues as well as changing the culture in sport? And I guess also, what advice could you give to athletes in order to kind of embrace being an ally?
I actually don't think that this is athlete specific, but I think that when you start looking at social change in general, if you are going to, I think that what we've found is that familiarity is what's changing the face of the LGBT movement. The fact that you know your neighbors, that your little brother turns out to be gay, that your teammates turn out to be gay, that you know people who are gay and you didn't know before. You probably, Patrick Berg is a really good example. Brendan Berg, before he died, his little brother, and I went through the same thing with my younger brother. You call them a fag because that's what kids do. And then when it turns out that they are, you have to go back and apologize and say, I'm sorry if I made your life harder. Okay? I don't think any of us really want to make our neighbors' lives harder. And so I think that groups like Athlete Ally, You Can Play, the No Hate campaign, whether they are politically driven or just socially driven, these are people talking to other people about issues that are important to them, and that's how change partly takes place. Erin and I have talked about this. There's there's a judicial and the legal way to get things done, but I think that from changing cultures, it's more work intensive, but I think that in the long term, it's more satisfying to change somebody's mind who you know. You Can Play is about gay and lesbian athletes, but it is largely straight people talking to other straight people. And, if that's what it takes to get this done, then to the extent that you're interested in that, and we've been very clear that we don't want that participation if you're not fully on board. But to the extent that that's what has to happen, you guys are going to have to do it. We're all going to have to do it with our straight neighbors, with your parents. Sometimes they're tough discussions, sometimes they're no discussion at all. But it's awareness, and it's hearing that you all support different things or the same thing.
Just as a follow-up to that, I think what is, at least I read in some of the news articles about You Can Play, is that athletes have been so receptive to it because the message is so simple that they're not being asked to go on a pride parade. They're just saying, yeah, if you can play, that's all I'm considering. Do you think that's been a large part of why it's been so strong in starting out?
Sure, I think that You Can Play has been interesting because it is sports specific. You could probably do the same thing in any other segment of society. But we have been very clear that we're not asking these athletes whether they support marriage equality or ending workplace discrimination, because we're not really sure. But what we do know is that what they care about, what coaches care about, what team captains care about is winning. And like I said earlier, if that gay guy or that lesbian or that transgender person can help you get a championship ring or help you be a better player, then why not? And that's what it comes down to. And I think that for any of you who have played sports, you know, teams are like families. And once you find out that one of your teammates is gay, probably 80% are supportive. Now, unfortunately, we've heard about the other 20% who are threatened with their lives or who are driven from their teams. And that's tough. But I would say that by and large, you know, that 80% of people really, really want to support their teammates. And so just in the context of sports, this has been a really, I think, important discussion to start. You know, are you willing to accept a gay or lesbian teammate if they can help you win? Like I said, only one of the players that we've asked has said, I do, but I don't really want to say so.